It has been 12 years since Texas raised its minimum wage. Right now it's $7.25 an hour, but that could change in the coming months. President-elect Joe Biden wants to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. As Eyewitness News reporter Zach Briggs shows us, the owner of one local burger joint isn't 100% on board.
For the past 15 years, Mark Outings been on a mission.
Just cooking big, fat, juicy burgers.
The employees working at Outings Burger Restaurant earn at least $9 per hour. That exceeds the federal and Texas minimum wages of $7.25. Now the incoming Biden administration is pushing to raise the national minimum wage to $15 an hour.
For Alex?
We got 15 employees. If all of a sudden tomorrow I had to go and start paying them $15 an hour, that would be a tough hill to climb.
Outings says such an immediate increase would prove challenging in the long run, prompting several changes to business operations.
We would probably have to do some increases or some different things, some different cuts to make that happen.
Renee Lara represents a state union of more than 235,000 members. He believes raising the minimum wage would help boost the economy, especially during these dire economic times.
When the breadwinners in a family don't have money to pay their necessities, then businesses suffer too. This is something that we feel helps everyone.
And it's not yet known whether Biden's minimum wage proposal would be an incremental increase over several years. But if that were the case, Outings says he'd be on board. So the Biden administration hasn't released full details about the $15 an hour federal minimum wage proposal. Now, I did reach out with the San Antonio Restaurant Association for a comment on the story, did not receive an official statement. I'm Zach Briggs, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.